Detroit Sports Fans. Today is October 18, 2010. This is the Bob and Ron Show.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Ron.
Ron, we got a great show lined up for these fans tonight. I'll tell you, it's great to be back on the air. We got a lot of fan support last week in our comeback episode, and now we're going to deliver another great episode to you guys. Let's get right into the rundown and say what we got going on.
We're going to start with the Detroit Tigers. What they're going to do in the offseason this season. And then we're going to move to the Detroit Red Wings. They played a couple games this weekend and just talk about their strengths and weaknesses so far. We're going to talk about MSU, Illinois. MSU won, obviously, 7-0. First time since 1966.
Huge.
Then we're going to talk a little UofM versus Iowa. Iowa won that one. UofM tried to keep it close at the end, but they couldn't pull off a win. And then we're going to talk last about the Detroit Lions.
Another tough loss yesterday, Ron. Let's get right into this.
Let's get right into the Tigers, though.
Let's go.
We have a ton of cap room coming off. Not cap room, cap baseball, but a lot of dollars flying off the charts here, so we're going to be spending a lot of money.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this team has a lot of money, a lot of dough, a lot of moolah, a lot of cheese, however you want to say it. They got a lot of that stuff, and this could be a really exciting offseason for this club. They got as much as $50 million to spend. You got, as last week they said that they are not going to re-sign Magglio or Ordonez, which I was a little disappointed to see. He was part of the big turnaround in Detroit. Obviously, had that huge home run versus Oakland in 2006 to put us into the World Series versus St. Louis. But it looks like we're moving into a new era, a new direction of Detroit Tigers baseball. We have Ordonez leaving. We have Robertson's contract off the books. Dontrell Willis is out of here. We have Inge, maybe gone. Bonnerman, probably gone. Gerald Laird, he's out of here. Nobody wants to see him back here. And what are they going to do with all this money, Ron?
Well, we're going to go out and spend it on some free agents, I hope. I hope they don't just sit there and say, we're not going to do that and just take our farm system. But I think we're going to go after a little free agency. And I'm going to throw some names at you. You tell me what they could bring to this club. Adam Dunn.
I like him. Okay, but I don't like him a lot. I kind of like him. He's like I don't know. But, he's not my first choice because, the guy has great power. He's a great hitter, but he strikes out a lot. And he's not an average. He'll probably hit about 240, 250. He'll still hit about 50 home runs, but the thing is he's not going to give you, a lot of doubles, a lot of homers. But I want a guy who's a more complete ball player, a guy who can bring you something in the field, a guy that's not just a DH. If you're going to go out and spend big-time money on a free agent, give me some more tools than just power, okay? I would like to see them go after a guy who, what's his name?
Carl Crawford.
Carl Crawford, that's what I'm talking about, Ron. I tell you, this guy has all 5 tools: power, contact, field, speed, fielding. He can do everything. He's great. He's, like the Walmart version of Willie Mays. This guy, nobody's Willie Mays. That's what I'm just trying to say. But he's still good. He's like, and I think he can bring a lot to this club. Okay, this is a guy that can still get you that power, but he can also hit for average, and the guy can swipe 30 bags a season. That's the kind of player I want to see. But with a guy like Crawford, you're going to be competing with the teams like New York, Boston, a lot of the higher market teams. So we'll see.
Absolutely, and obviously we already said Gerald Laird. He is out of there, which thank God, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired.
Does Avila fill those shoes, or they go out and pick up a guy like Victor Martinez?
Alex Avila is kind of a mystery to these Detroit fans. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him, and then flashes of very Laird-like play. I would like to see them maybe go out and get a guy like Victor, if they can get him up for a decent price, if they're not competing with too many teams to really, spend too much money. You want to see them bring in a few tools this offseason. You don't want to see them just have one player or 2 players. If they can get 3, 4 decent free agents, maybe a guy like Jason Worth coming from Philly. I think Jason Worth has a lot to bring, a lot to offer to this team, in terms of, fielding, great corner outfielder. He can hit the ball really well, and he's got some speed as well. Or, maybe a guy like Manny Ramirez now.
Manny Ramirez. You want to bring Manny Wood to Detroit?
Yeah, I think Manny Wood could be, in right here in the D. I think that would be a good fit. I love Manny. The guy has a lot of energy, loves playing the game. He's got so much fun out there. And, I've always been a huge Manny fan.
I like Manny, but there's things that he brings. He's like, that top-notch receiver, like a Terrell Owens or something. He's bringing all this mad media with him that could backfire in Detroit and make a bad image. I don't want to see that. Detroit's a great club. They don't need to tarnish that with going out and getting Manny Ramirez. That's my only take on Manny.
Okay,
But
I'll give that to you, man.
last question I have for you about the Tigers. Jeremy Bonnerman, do you think they're going to keep him? They're going to pick him up on a free agent, or is he going to get released? Or do they re-sign him?
My gut feeling is he's gone. They brought him in 2002. His first season was 2003 with us. Back in that horrible year, and the guy's been a warrior. There's nobody that competes harder than Jeremy Bonnerman out there. And anybody in the Major League Baseball will tell you that.
But he might be the worst warrior ever.
Yeah, he's like
I couldn't tell you a bad warrior. Yeah, warrior's supposed to be good, Bob.
I couldn't either. But I got to say, he's still gonna, he'll go on with the team, be a solid 3 or 4 starter. But I think Detroit has probably had their dose of Bonnerman. The guy makes a lot of money. And the return on investment just isn't that great for this club. So I would expect to see him gone.
Bob, moving on. Red Wings.
I'll tell you, I'm getting a lot of mixed emotion from this team early on in the season. And, I kind of don't know what to believe. The first couple of games, they looked great. The next couple of games, they didn't look so great. And then, Saturday at Phoenix, they looked good again. So what's your gut feeling?
I think they're going to be all right this year. They got to work on a couple things. I've talked to you about it before. Their defense really needs to step up. I mean, they have their 4-man core of Rafalski, Cronwall, Lindstrom, and who's the other guy I'm blanking on right now? Oh, Brad Stewart. Those 4 are great, but right now Rafalski's out, and you have Doug Janik, this 8-year vet, who's, to me, is diddly squad. He's not very good. Mike Babcock likes him. I don't know why.
Ron, can I just point out, I love the fact that you just said diddly squat on the Bob and Ron show.
Thank you. And then there's Jason Kendall, which he's a youngster. He's gonna learn the ropes, but that's the key right now, the defense. Because if you looked at that 4-1 loss to Dallas a couple days ago, or 3 days ago, something like that, Osgood looked like he had a terrible game. But I'll tell you, it was the defense that was not helping him out at all.
That's true. That's something that you cannot obviously just throw on Osgood's shoulders being completely his fault. Because the defense did not look very good. You can't. It's like if you're an actor, you can't win an Oscar without having a good director, okay?
Absolutely.
But if you're a great actor and you got me directing this movie, you're not going to get any credit. You got to have good on both sides. You got to have good defense. You got to have good goaltending. And I got to say, Ron, we're still looking. It's early on in the season, but if these defensemen don't step up and help out these goaltenders and keep throwing them into the wildfire, the Wings could be in for another long season. But it's still early, like I said, and I think that they are going to creep up and they are going to continue to improve, especially once Rafalski comes back and they start to get more in that midseason form.
Absolutely. Well, moving on, we're going to talk about MSU, Illinois. Big win for the Spartans, 7-0, first time since 1966.
Ron, I love this team. They're getting me excited. Go green, go white, and it's a delight, Ron. I'll tell you, 7-0.
Did you just rhyme? Delight and green and white. That's beautiful.
I did, because it is beautiful, Ron. This team comes out, and they look flat as a door. That was bad in the first half. But I'll tell you, Ron, they came back. They came strong in the second half. Kirk Cousins made a statement in that second half saying, I'm here, and if my running backs aren't going to get it going, I'm going to get it going. And Cousins did. And I got to say, this team looked like a completely different team in the second half than they did in the first half, totally shutting down Illinois' offense in the second half. They did not score 1 point, and I got to say, if they can continue to play like this, the defense, this team could really, really make a strong run to win the Big Ten this year.
Absolutely, and they are ranked 7th in the BCS poll, and they're ranked 8th in the other.
Yeah.
Well, do you think, I got a question about them not being, they shouldn't be that high. Do you agree?
No, not at all. And you still got a lot of those fans, that are Michigan fans, or maybe not big state fans. They're not buying into the hype. But Ron, I gotta say, I am, because I gotta tell you, they are a solid club. They got 3 great running backs, Caper, Baker, and Bell. They got a hell of a coach in Mark D'Antonio. They got a great receiving core in Dell, Cunningham. And Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, and I got to say the defense has impressed the hell out of me, led by All-American linebacker Greg Jones, and I don't see them slowing down. Yeah, they have a very tough game against Iowa in a couple weeks, but if they come out of there with a win, the Big Ten is all theirs. And I got to say, if they go through an undefeated season, you could see an argument for the Spartans being the national title game, Ron.
That's a great statement. And moving on, though, since we have so little time here, UofM versus Iowa. Michigan just wasn't up for the battle. Iowa's a tough team, but
Michigan did come out and battle. Okay, Okay, they did. They did a lot more than I expected them to this week. Okay, yeah, Denard got hurt, but Tate Forcier came in and played a solid game and got them right back into it. Okay, and like I said, this Michigan team is making improvements. They're making strides to become a better team. They're still not in that elite company as an Ohio State. You know, they fell off to where they were, but that's going to happen when you're rebuilding a program like Rich Rodriguez is trying to do and integrating a new offense. So yeah, I mean, but you are seeing that improvement, which is good, and that's encouraging for Michigan fans. You know, they're used to this, you know, year after year contending for the Big Ten title, and obviously we're going through a little bit of a regrowth phase. But you know, their defense has so much work to do. You got guys like Martin on the defense who, you know, are solid players. They're real, but until the whole defense plays as a cohesive unit, I don't think you're going to see them starting to shut down teams, because you look all season long. That's been Michigan's problem, is they're relying too heavily on just scoring. There comes a point where you have to shut down a team. You know, you have to say, okay, we're going to stop you, then we're going to score. You can't just score and then score and then score and then score, because that's not good football, Ron. So, you know,
defense wins championships.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cliche, but hey, it's kind of true. So, you know, we'll see. You know, Michigan still has a few games left. You know, in this season, you know, they got a tough one versus Ohio State, and you know, they got some games where they can prove that they are real, and we'll see if they can do that.
Well, moving on now, we have the Lions. They lost 28-20 to the Giants. It was a heartbreaker. I mean, we had chances to win.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the game?
You know, Ron, I'll tell you, it was tough. You know, another game where the Lions had, you know, just dragged us to the end, and then just pushed you away, saying, "We're glad you're excited. We're glad you're in it," but boom, we lost. You know, and I'll tell you, it's almost unhealthy being a Lions fan, because this range of emotion goes from way up here to way down there in a span of about 2 seconds, and that's not good for my heart, Ron. I'll tell you, you know, I might be dying early from being a Lions fan, but I'm loving the ride. But I got to say, this team is frustrating the hell out of me because of these penalties. I mean, Ron, what do you think?
They lead the league in penalties. I think they have 59 in 6 games. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are a lot of them where they go, you know, even with the teams, you know, so, you know, they kind of cancel each other out and stuff, because you look at the penalties that they have against, but still, you can't, some of these stupid penalties, like they had an unsportsmanlike penalty right on the goal line yesterday, which they could, on a third down, they would have held the Giants to a field goal, resulted in a touchdown. Another stupid penalty on a return, where there was a late hit out of bounds. I mean, you can't make these stupid penalties and expect to be a competitive ball club. I mean, Ron, it's frustrating, and, you know, I mean, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you what, the penalties they got to stop. If they want to have a chance at winning, they have to stop with these penalties. I'll tell you what, the defense looked great, and I'll tell you what else looked great. Stanton and Hill, they both played well when they were in there. I didn't like the way the offensive coordinator was coaching them. Every time it was 2nd and long, 2nd and 12 even, we were running the ball when we couldn't get any yards. As a coordinator, you got to throw something else at him. You can't just give a run every 2nd down and 12. You're giving Stanton the ball at 3rd and 10, and you're trying to make. I mean, he's young. He can't do that.
I completely agree, Ron. You know, you look at what this club was doing yesterday. New York was stacking the box, okay, and the Lions could not get a running game going. Javid Best is still not 100% recovering from. I mean, he's got turf toe on both feet. He's not going to be that effective running the ball. You can't keep pounding it, and hoping to come out. The running game wasn't effective, so you have to go to plan B, okay? And you have to give Stanton a shot to hit his receivers, to hit his tight ends, which he did when he had the chance. And he made a lot of impressive third down throws, but there were a lot of bad throws that he made as well. And, you know, you expect that out of a third-string quarterback, but overall, I was impressed with Drew Stanton. As, you know, he looked probably better yesterday than he has probably all last season or, you know, in his other appearances for the Lions. But, you know, he had that nice strike to Calvin for the touchdown, and, you know, we'll see. I mean, they have the bye week coming up this week, and Matthew Stafford is coming into the picture in week 7, hopefully. And, you know, then we'll get a much better feel for what this Lions team is going to do with the first string completely in.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I do like about this team is they hang around. They're sticking around in the games, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. But there comes a point where you have to overcome that and say we're going to get to that next level. Not only are we going to hang around, we're going to finish, we're going to strike, we're going to kill them down, and we're going to get the win.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this episode. And we'll continue on with our next episode. And see you guys
in a minute.